Welcome, everyone. Before we start with this podcast, I just want to give a quick disclaimer. We did have some audio issues this episode, so headphone users beware. It is going to get pretty loud in some spots and it's going to get pretty quiet in other spots. But if you can get past that, I hope you guys enjoy this podcast. Thank you. Welcome back, everybody, to the Sliding and Driving podcast. Today we have a very special guest. I will let him introduce himself and we'll go from there.
Yeah, I am Dita or something. And I just make like whatever I want really on YouTube, but most of it's cars. I kind of got back into it after a previous guest, Invader Style. Really, what's funny the thing is I actually inspired him to make content again, and now he's kind of inspiring me. And
That's perfect. It's a round.
I guess so.
It's a full loop around.
I guess so. Even though his content's like way better than mine, and he's probably doing better than the both of us in terms of. Like, I'm not jealous. I'm not jealous. I'm definitely not jealous. Because although admittedly he has way better editing stuff than me, I'm too broke for proper camera stuff yet. So, I mean, I have a stabilizer for my phone, so it doesn't look like Michael J. Fox recorded all my footage. So. Oh my god, sorry, that's a little. Oh no. Shit.
So let me ask you something. I know, I know it. I don't know what everybody else knows or not, but you have a car meet called Rides and Ramen.
Yep.
And I would like to call it a very successful project that you've been working on.
Yeah, I'm surprised too.
And I was wanted to know if you could tell the people listening or just in general, explain what Rides and Ramen is to you and what was your reason for making it?
Well, well, basically, fun fact, you were the first. You were the first guy to ever show up. I remember it like it was yesterday. And I remember that's when the NR2 was like bone stock at the time. Anyway, basically, the reason why I started Rides and Ramen, at the time, I was, like, bored. I was out of a job. I mean, I had just finished interning at, like, a Chevrolet dealer, and they let me go after a while, because they're like, you know what, you've been great, but, there's just not enough work to warrant keeping you on. Because admittedly, half the time, I would just shoot the shit about cars with my boss.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he was a great guy, And there were some really weird mechanics there too. Like one guy would bring in his like Chevy Monte Carlo drag car into work every day.
Oh my god!
Because since it was a Chevy dealer, he had the hookup on all the performance parts and crate motors and stuff.
Yeah.
And when I worked there were actually a few like LS3 crate motors just sitting next to me.
Oh my god!
Because apparently they're shipped to a shop in Bridgeport for retrofitting like Land Rovers or something. But anyway, back to Rides and Ramen. I wanted a proper GDM car show in my neck of the woods, i.e. Western Connecticut, or Bumblefuck as Kalon calls it. All my car friends, except for you, live on the other side of the state. Fun.
Yeah, Connecticut's really divided with that. I've noticed they're either like meets are within either 30 minutes of you or like an hour and a half.
I know. I mean, it's really bad when your car can't really sustain highway speeds for long periods of time. I mean, Caleb goes, oh, like this other guy named Caleb with this crazy Beetle. He's like, oh, you can do it, but like, dude, your Beetle can go 90. The Wagon R struggles to make like go 60. That was another reason. There was just nothing really for people like me who were interested in my kind of car. I mean, I would get appreciated by people when I brought my Wagon R to shows, but it was always like, I called them the Village of Hank Hills. Like, every time I brought my car to a car show, it was mostly just, like, boomers and, like, muscle cars and stuff. Not like it's a bad thing. They're cool and all, but they never really understood the car, and they were, like I said, they were all Hank Hills. They were like, that thing from Europe, that thing British, what kind of mileage do you get? I tell you what. They were all, like I said, they were all Hank Hill, basically.
That's a good way of putting it, actually.
I don't know. And I just thought, if there isn't any proper GDM stuff in my area, I'll just make it myself. Although, admittedly, I didn't know of the existence of other meets at the time, because at the time I wasn't really active on most socials, just because I just didn't feel like it.
Right.
Um, like, but eventually I met Miguel at Rad Stallions at a meet in Middletown, and I remember after a while I brought the Wagon R to a few shows, and I remember at a meet in Southington, he formally inducted me into the club, gave me a shirt and a bucket and everything. It was like awesome. And then
Oh, that's awesome.
it was like, yeah, because at the time he had a deal with a few Napa auto parts dealers where like you get like a discount if you had like a little coupon or something that said Rad Stallions on it. And as part of
Oh,
that,
nice.
he
Okay.
gave out little buckets with, I think, car detailing stuff in them. I forget what. I think it was that. And anyway, I still have that bucket to this day. Um,
That's awesome.
yeah. So eventually, uh, yeah, and I still remember the best show I ever had. I don't know if you were there for it. It was my season closer in 2022. It was my October of 2022 show, because since our final meet is in the last few weeks of October, we do a thing where you're encouraged to dress up yourself or your car or whatever. And
Oh, yeah. Yep.
I remember that was probably the best show I ever had in terms of not just turnout, but the kind of cars that were there. There was a guy with an R32 GTR. There was a yellow Z32 and a blue Evo 4. Those were like the big three crazy things. But this was before trophies, because eventually I decided, wait a minute, I'm getting bigger. I should like do stuff that's like what real big car shows do. And so I started giving out trophies, which feels kind of weird for a small parking lot meet, you know. But everyone says that, you're like a tiny parking lot meet, but you have trophies. And I'm like, well, we're different than other shows because we don't really take trophies seriously.
Right.
All we do, like, I mean, our best in show trophy is literally has a goat on it.
That's true. Yep. The goat.
Yeah, the goat
The
trophy.
Yep.
Uh, and it was yeah, because we're not supposed to be taking things seriously. It's not like, because I remember that's another thing I didn't like about a lot of shows is I felt like trophies the way that, I mean, at the end of the day, it's not about trophies, it's about the cars and stuff. But I felt like some of the shows I went to had very heavy biases towards certain things,
Oh,
um,
absolutely.
or something like that. So I thought, why not create a show where the trophy is not based on any particular category or bias. All the car has to meet the criteria of I think it's cool, or my dad thinks it's cool, or the manager of the restaurant thinks it's cool.
Yeah, and that's a good, like, a nice easy. You're not getting like serious about it. You can just
Yeah.
still go have fun and
The only
and
time I
make
ever
someone else's day.
only time I ever had any like issues with trophies was actually at my season opener this year, and that was because I remember the last two cars that were there. There was an RSX and what's like I forget, like the, how like there's the EG Civic, but the EG is like the hatch. I mean, everyone calls that
Oh
generation the
yeah.
EG, the EG Civic Coupe. I don't know. It's like, yeah, everyone just calls that generation Civic the EG, regardless if it's the hatch, the coupe, or the sedan. But there will be that one
Yeah.
guy that will go, actually, EG was was the VIN code for GDM hatchbacks. USDM hatchbacks were considered EH2 hatches, and the coupes were EJ1s, or whatever it was. And they were heckling me, hey, why aren't you giving trophies? And I kind of had to explain to them that due to the low turnout, we have Rides and Ramen has a few unwritten rules that I never tell people, so you're gonna hear some exclusive stuff soon. But basically, one of those unwritten rules is by trophy time there has to be X amount of cars on the lot, or else we're just not able to give out trophies. And there were only two cars. We have three trophies. You know.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense.
And but the rule is it doesn't have to be three cars minimum. It's more like five or six. So that way there's other
Right.
cars that it can be judged against. Like, just you win a trophy just because you're the last car there. That's not really fair. You gotta earn it.
Yeah, that's fair because then you're not just expecting a trophy when you're
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. Another unwritten rule of ours is the rev quota. basically, thankfully, the manager of the restaurant's a super nice guy. He's like, honestly a godsend. He is super chill and lets me do almost anything I want on that lot, as long. But I still try and keep the peace because there's a condo complex right behind the restaurant. So, and obviously,
Right.
I don't want it to turn into a takeover. So, the rules I have is mostly the rev quota, which basically means you can rev your car a little bit, but when I get bored, you have to stop. Like I literally go,
That's fair.
You've reached the rev quota, and that, usually people stop. But and I mean, I have trouble controlling when people do peel outs and stuff. But admittedly, peel outs of the lot, 90% of the time they're not doing it on the lot property itself. But I mean, it's not that bad of a problem. But I remember one time, this wasn't technically my meet. I don't know. I made a video all about it, but basically, Zoom in East Coast wanted to host a meet, and I'm gonna say it. The guy who runs, he's a good guy and all, but uh he doesn't know how to properly get permission and stuff for hosting meets. I'm sorry. Like they had
So that brings up a good point, because I wanted to also talk to you about this, because you run such a successful event. So recently, I just went through the whole process of finding a location for me,
Mhm.
and in order to do it properly, I had to talk to the town. I had to
Really,
talk to the police department.
really,
I had to talk to the business owner. Then
wow,
from the business owner, I had to get in touch with the management company, and then from the management company, I had to talk to the landlord.
interesting.
And
Well, for
I just
me,
wanted to have, yeah,
yeah, well, for me, it was. It won't be like that in every case for anyone watching who wants to host their own meet. Like some places, things I'd recommend. One, certain public parks are okay with you hosting a meet as long as you keep it civil. Like I know a lot of meets happen at Fairfield Hills. Um,
right.
and I remember the guy who I let host a meet on my Rides and Ramen lot as like a one-time thing. Because I will specify that was a one-time thing, and I'm not really interested in having anybody else, you know, use my spot. It's
Right. That's your
mine.
location.
Yeah, yeah. So anyway, the uh public places can work depending on how chill the town or how chill the police department is. But I know that hosting a meet at Fairfield Hills is relatively easy. And like I said, the guy came back to me and asked me, "Hey, do you want me to host? Can I host another meet at the Rides and Ramen location again?" I said, "No, sorry, man. It's a one-time thing. Why not try Fairfield Hills?"
Right.
And he was going to host a meet there, but they got rained out. So, oh well.
I mean, hey, as long as the meat is like okay and they're not getting kicked out, I
Yeah,
think that's totally fine. Because,
yeah.
for instance, I tried to host, or I talked to the police department in the that town where Fairfield Hills is, in Newtown,
Mm-hmm.
and they did not seem interested in me holding an event at all. They really told me,
Really
yeah, like, don't do it, kind of thing. Like,
interesting.
they basically, they were like, get permission to do a full blown car show, or don't do anything at all.
Ah, yeah, yeah. Because there
Um,
is an official car show at Fairfield Hills that I know they host in like September.
yes, yep,
I still remember that show because I went to that show with my dad and his Alfa Romeo Spider. It was one of the first real car shows I'd been to. I mean, I went to car shows every now and then when I was a little kid, but this was when I was really getting into cars when I was like 15ish. Um, and
the Reach show.
just remember it was the first time I had seen an FD RX-7 in person. That was the first time I saw an FD in person. That was the first time I saw an NSX in person, an Evo. I also saw like a really weird Australian spec Chrysler.
Interesting.
Yeah, because you know how there's like Holden and like weird Australian Fords. For a brief time in like the
Yeah.
60s and 70s, up until I think the early 80s, Chrysler also had a presence in Australia and made really weird Aussie specific cars.
Huh.
Yeah. Anyway,
That's cool.
and but yeah, it was right by the Ghost Building, as I call it, because there's this one building in Fairfield Hills that I call the Ghost Building, because this is gonna get kind of spooky. But one time I was out for a drive with my dad and his Alpha Spider again, and we drove up to Fairfield Hills, and we were sitting in out front by this one brick building. I don't really know how I could describe where it really is. It's kind of way in the back. It's fenced off. That's what I remember. It's fenced off, and it's kind of near the brewery, the Asylum Brewery thing.
Oh, yep.
It's like there. And I remember in the corner of my eye, I see this figure in one of the windows, and it looked like they were almost made of smoke. It was like a shadow. And I just turn and I look at it, and it's gone. And I turn to my dad and I go, "Dude, did you see that?" He was like, "See what?" And I was just freaking out. And every time I go to that building, I get a little scared. I'm not gonna lie.
Hey, that's understandable. I know people chase the ghosts in that complex now, but
Yeah, but obviously that's not really legal, because everything's been.
yeah, yeah.
My grandma actually used to work there.
Mine too, actually.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. My grandma got her nursing degree there.
Yeah. Anyway, jeez, we're getting off topic with the whole rides and
Yeah.
ramen crud.
So
Yeah, and how to host a meet.
so basically, so it seems like that the actual place at Yoko Kitchen will is pretty like chill and was easygoing
Yeah.
about most of
Yeah,
this.
basically I remember is I had the idea and I went to dinner that one time and I spoke to the manager, a guy named Nicky, and I just asked him, "Hey, would you be interested in hosting a car show on this lot?" And he said, "Sure." And he loves it. Like I said, sometimes he comes out, pokes his head out to look at the cars. He really likes BMWs, despite the fact not a lot of BMWs show up. Because I mean, a few times we've had BMWs. Anyway, uh, and
So
yeah, I just kind of asked him, "Hey, would you be interested in this?" He said, "Sure," because basically it's a symbiotic relationship. I have a place to host my put car shows on, and he gets more traction by customers going into the restaurant. Although, admittedly,
right,
about half the people go in for food, half of them just kind of stay and hit and chill.
right.
Uh, and you know,
Because that was one thing I was looking at too, because I really wanted to make sure that like people were gonna have something to do. It sounds kind of weird, but like
hmm
something to do or like something to
yeah,
keep them at
yeah,
the
there
meet.
has to be a
So like
hook. That's what I call it. I call it a hook.
yeah. So like
Um,
we were looking at a few different places. Like we talked to Tractor Supply. We talked to a we were going to look at like there was like you said there was a skate park or a public park area we were looking at. But I'm just thinking to myself, and I'm like, if people just pull up just to sit here, I don't really think they're
yeah.
gonna sit here for 4 hours without a bathroom, food, or drinks.
Of course, yeah. I mean, obviously, if you have money, you can friggin' get a food truck out there, but that requires all permits and red tape. So,
Oh yeah.
I mean, if you're cool like me, because I always have thought of this, I'm actually quite the cook.
Oh nice.
So, but unfortunately, I don't have a small enough grill to take with me to, cook like hot dogs or something.
Right.
And obviously, rides and ramen. There's already food there. There's already food, bathrooms, etc. Um, One other hook I tried, but unfortunately, not a lot of people were interested in, or maybe they just didn't really see it. Was I call it the carcade? I realized that the trunk of my Wagon R is big enough, just wide enough to fit a TV in the back. So I put a TV in the back
Yeah.
of it,
Yep.
and I got my PS2 going because there's like a small outlet on one side of the restaurant that I just stuck my PS2 into, and bang.
It
Um,
works. Hey, that's another attraction that keeps people there. I see.
yeah,
Always see you guys playing some kind of game, whether it's like,
yeah,
was it underground or
yeah. We have all sorts of racing games. Although I think next go around I might get more game diversity of games, especially now that I have a new PlayStation 2. It loads way faster because unfortunately the one I've had since I was like a little kid died. So
oh.
yeah, Crazy Taxi was too crazy for it. Yeah, yeah. Basically, I just remember I got Crazy Taxi on eBay. I stuck the game in, and for a minute, like the game was acting a little weird. It took me a few tries to get it going. I thought, okay, maybe the disc is a little scratched. But then, as I'm playing, the PS2 makes this horrible noise, and I'm like, I don't really think anything of it. And about 15 minutes in, it freezes, and I'm like, okay, maybe it's just the game acting up again. So I press reset. I reset it, and it doesn't load. It doesn't like boot. And at the time, I didn't know my component cables also were fried from whatever caused this.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
I mean, the PS2 right now is in pieces in a box in my closet, so because that's why I can't really plug it back in and figure out if like, Like I said, when I got my new PS2, it came with a new set of cables, and I remember plugging my old PS2 cables into it. And I'm like, what the heck? Why isn't it booting up? Don't tell me the guy on eBay sold me a dud.
Yeah.
But then I put in the new cables that came with the PS2 from eBay, and I'm like, oh, I guess whatever killed my PS2 also killed this set of cables.
That makes sense. That
Yeah.
it probably sent something and fried the crap out of it.
Yeah, I have no idea. Anyway, I might get like, I don't know, maybe I'll get like Soul Calibur or something. So
Oh yeah.
maybe a few other games. But like I said, since we're a car show, we have almost all the good racing games. We have we have Need for Speed Underground 1 and 2. We have Gran Turismo 3 and 4. We have I also have Gran Turismo 2. We also have Automodelista, which is a much more obscure racing game for the PS2, and honestly, it's one of my favorites. It's short but sweet. It has its flaws, but I still love it.
Nice. You got quite the setup, honestly, out of the carcade.
Yeah, yeah.
So another thing that I'm kind of trying to push with the podcast and my channel in general is bringing like a positive light to the car scene again, kind of like what Kalon is also doing.
Oh yeah, definitely.
What I wanted to ask you, as someone who hosts a successful event, what do you think right now? It's kind of like a yin and yang thing here. What's something that is like so common that's ruining the car scene?
What's so common?
And what do you think? Like something that people do all the time that could just be so easy to stop.
Like
and then what?
Like takeover.
So like for instance, when I asked Kalon, he said like one of the main things that like ruins a car meet or like gives a car scene a bad name is like rev bombing. People like coming through and being obnoxious.
Especially BMW guys, the Burble Brigade, as I call them. It's like always like some teenager in like a financed I don't know, like I said, I don't really know my BMW chassis codes or whatever, but like let's see, BMW E90. Yeah, like an E90. Yeah, some kid in like a financed. Oh my god, the E90 was made in 2004? What?
Wow.
Okay, well, it ended in 2013. So okay, more like an F30. Yeah, an F30 BMW. That's the one. Like it's always like some teenager in an F30 that's being financed at God knows how much with a burble tune. And obviously, it's not even the good one with the B58. So,
Right. So like stuff like that. Like, is there a definitive thing you think is ruining it?
I don't really know. Other things I don't like. People with like really giant speaker setups. Like,
okay.
Especially when there's music already at the show.
Okay, that makes sense.
And like a lot of the time, it's usually like some regular ass traffic. Like it's a slammed, like it's like a 10th gen Accord on reps, bags, on like really tacky wheels, bags, and like 15 different speakers in the trunk and back seat combined, blasting gasolina, gasolina at max volume. And it was like that I find extremely annoying. I mean, like with Rides and Ramen, we do have background music, but it's low enough that you can still have a conversation in most of the show.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, all we have is literally like a shitty laptop and a Bluetooth speaker, and that's it.
It's like ambient music.
Yeah, it's ambient music.
Just,
yeah, because 90% of the
fills
music,
the air.
90% of the music there is literally just the soundtrack for Gran Turismo and a few other random PS2 games. Like I remember at one point, I have like the GTA San Andreas like theme song on it, and like everyone was like, "Why is Grand Theft Auto San Andreas here?" I didn't know what else to put on it because I had to make the playlist long enough to last the length of the show.
Hey, that works. It fills it, and you know what? It's something that almost everybody knows. You know what I mean?
Yeah, of course. And on top of that, it's unique because no other car meet has a soundtrack like Rides and Ramen. I mean, a few times, I remember one time, like when my laptop died, my dad did allow, he used his phone to play music, and it was like normal stuff. And I still remember, that's how I found out my dad likes Kendrick Lamar.
Oh, interesting.
Okay, maybe not. I don't know. It was like on shuffle, I think. I don't remember. and like all of a sudden Not Like Us comes on. I'm like, what? Dad, you like Kendrick Lamar? Like I said, this was at the height of the Drake and Kendrick beef,
Oh,
and I was
yeah.
like, and this was like I had probably heard Not Like Us like 15 different, like no, not 15, 1,000 times over. And I mean, I
Yeah.
don't want to bring up the beef too much, but I'm like, I mean, yeah, Drake sucks, but I'm sick and tired of hearing this song.
It was. I will admit, I do like the songs that Kendrick put out about the beef and everything, but it was played so much that it
Mm-hmm.
does, like, even now on my playlist, I skip it.
Yeah. Anyway, back to the whole Rides and
So,
Ramen thing about hosting meets. God, we are just yapping.
so another thing too, with you doing the meat in a correct and proper way,
Mm-hmm.
um, once like okay, if somebody was coming up and, for instance, new in the car scene and they decided, hey, I want to host my own car meet
Ooh,
and do it the correct way. They want to have their
correct
buddies there and stuff
way.
like that.
Well,
What's
hmm.
what would you tell them for advice or
Well,
process?
one thing I would also tell them is your first few meets are going to be manageable, if that makes any sense. Like, because obviously, since you're a new meet on the scene, your turnout won't be as big. Like, I'm pretty like obviously you remember first Rides and Ramen, there were maybe 10 cars tops.
Yeah,
It
yep.
was you, my car, a 3000 GT, Cole's Miata, Civic Coupe SI, and this old couple in a Land Cruiser.
Yeah, that Land Cruiser was cool, the diesel
I
one.
actually know where he lives. I actually remember because I've delivered up to like the middle of nowhere and I've driven by his house. And the reason why I knew that is one, I saw that in the driveway, and two, he collects Land Cruisers. He has like 10 of them
Oh, that's
all
cool.
across all different generations. He has an FJ40, he has an FJ Cruiser, he has a 60 series. Um,
That's cool. Those are really cool cars.
yeah, he has like I don't even know how many Land Cruisers he has. I don't even know his name. I just call him Land Cruiser guy. I mean, there's
That's
all
fitting.
sorts of like weird stuff like in my little town. If you look right, like there's this one guy who has a pristine, nearly bone stock red S13,
Oh shit.
and he's like
Okay.
this old guy that probably bought it new. And like the only modification that I can see on it is like he has different wheels on it, and that's it.
That's pretty cool.
The day he dies is the day I'm gonna slam it into a wall at a drift event. And he also has a Z32 in the same color.
Oh, that's cool.
But what's weird is I never see him drive it 90% of the time. Like either cars, like either
Huh.
I don't know. But they're both garage queened except the Z32.
Gotcha.
I don't know. It kind of swaps. Like sometimes I see the S13, sometimes I see the Z32. It's weird. And speaking of S13s, there's this other old guy that has two S13s rotting in his like driveway.
Oh,
He
that's
has a he
unfortunate.
has a red convertible and a purple hatch, and this is the even more unfortunate part. They're both automatic.
Ooh.
I mean, I'm tempted to knock on the guy's door and ask for the purple hatch, even though it's being eaten by the woods.
Hmm.
Because obviously this guy, he doesn't know what S13s are anymore. Like what they're going, how crazy they're getting.
Yeah,
And
they're all over the place.
honestly, if I were to get that purple hatch, I wouldn't do what every other S13 owner does. I know it sounds crazy, but I'd daily drive it. Like I wouldn't do anything to it.
Nice.
Like I would, I'd probably like put different wheels on it, maybe put some bags and an exhaust on it, and just call it a day.
Yeah, just keep like I think there's something so underappreciated about keeping like those the nice older cars. Like if somebody gave me something like an NSX, like I know that's way out of the
Mm-hmm.
woods, I wouldn't do a single thing to that car.
Honestly, me, it depends on the car. Like, cars that I would keep stock, R35 GTR probably.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I don't really know what other cars I would keep stock, just because. Like I said, another reason why the S13 is just because it would be too much money and too much work to, turn it into a crazy race car. Because first you gotta, put a manual in it, and while you're in there, you might as well take out that dinky little KA and put it in SR20, yo. Even though like SRs are stupid money now.
Yeah, they're quite
Um,
expensive.
Hell, I saw an S13 with a VQ in it, dude. At that point, just get a 350Z. Like, if you really want a driftable Nissan, don't go through all the money and time of getting a rusted out 30-year-old S13 shell and then dropping who knows how much on a VQ when you can just get a 350Z for similar money, even though I hate 350Zs. Okay, I don't hate them or G35s. It's just because the whole takeover kid stuff, and it's just also trumpets.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that.
Although
They get a
admittedly,
bad rep now.
admittedly though, like whenever I hear an actually good sounding VQ, I'm like shocked. Like I'm like, what? He made a VQ sound good?
Doesn't
Anyway,
sound like a musical instrument.
yeah. Anyway, we gotta get back to the whole hosting meets. Anyway, yeah, your turnout will be lower. Your first turnouts will be low. Just expect that, unless some kind of stroke of luck happens. Although, admittedly, I didn't really know what I was doing initially. I just made a Facebook event page, maybe, linked my socials and like word of mouth mostly. It's mostly been word of mouth that's gotten my car shows here, just because the almighty social media algorithm hasn't fully picked up any of my stuff properly yet.
Yeah,
Um,
the word of mouth is good though. To have word
yeah,
of mouth spread is very
yeah, yeah,
lucky.
yeah. Word of mouth, and on top of that, just due to the club, a lot of both clubs I'm in, they also advertise the show. Um, and yeah, as for just securing a location, it's going to be different every time. It's going to depend on the town, because as you said, the way you had to get your meet set up, you had to go to the police department, to the town, to the management, to the landlords, to the etc.
Right.
So what I would recommend is, instead of a chain, like for example, this one club, Challenge the Royals, they had to shut down their Mick Wednesdays meet
Oh, I
because,
saw that. Yeah.
yeah, because I mean they cited takeover kids, but I think it's also just because when you're dealing with a giant franchised national corporation, it's really hard to get through all the red tape to properly have it, you know. So I would recommend like a restaurant that's like a local place. Like a perfect place would probably be, depending on if they're cool with it, Charcoal Chef in Woodbury. Small little restaurant right off Route, what is it, Route 6? Yeah, Route 6.
Okay.
Mm, there I mean, yeah, that's or another one, this could also be a very good one. I don't think I could ever do it though. Um I mean, you could, if you're crazy, you could ask the fire department, because honestly, a firehouse would be a perfect place for a car show. Like, if you make it
Y-
so you could raise money for the fire department or something, I don't know if you
Yeah,
could.
like a charity driven
Yeah,
one too. Yeah,
charity
that's
drive
a good
stuffs can
idea.
also, because obviously that's another way of sweetening the pot for the host.
Right. Yeah, because it really is. It's so like under. I don't know. I feel like car meets back in the day were just like a group of friends like meeting up, and then other groups like rolling up
Yeah,
too.
yeah. I mean, I
But
wouldn't
like
really
you
know.
didn't have to
I
have
wouldn't really know that because, like I said, I got back into cars around like when I was like 14 or 15. So you know, I didn't really have.
my.
I didn't have a car until
I
I was 18. So
Yeah, because I my like okay, so I say back in the day, but like my older sister, she used to take me to like little car meets that her and her like my brother-in-law, her husband, um would like go to with their little like local car club when I was in like eighth grade.
Oops. Yeah.
Um and that was just about it. You would go to like the movie theater parking lot or something, and you'd meet up, and then other
Hmm.
groups would come up, and it just
Yeah.
like you didn't have to have permission or anything like that
Yeah, that's
because nobody
interesting.
was really causing problems.
Yeah, I mean, and even if they did, either A, they would bail out. Puerto Rico is doing something right. I mean, with the crazy cool builds that come out of Puerto Rico, because a few times the old school Toyota club out of Bridgeport has shown up to Rides and Ramen, and they always bring the good stuff.
Yeah,
Like this,
they have a cool
like
setup of
like this
cars.
guy, this guy has his like this vintage Corolla wagon. This guy brought a crazy like Mazda RX-2. And I still remember I was at a meet in Bridgeport, and this guy rolled up in probably like an E70 Corolla with a 13B in it. It's probably the loudest car I've ever heard.
Oh my god.
And mind you, this was in a very claustrophobic and very closed in space, so I don't think my hearing has been the same since.
but that's like
He
stuff
wasn't
like that
he
is
wasn't
cool.
even revving. He wasn't even going crazy. He was just kind of rolling in. I mean, he revved a little bit, but you know.
Yeah, but
Uh,
like stuff like that too, like car groups.
yeah, but
Like I know you mentioned, you said you were part of a couple clubs and
yeah, well,
stuff like
too.
that, and
But basically the whole thing with Puerto Rico is, funny thing is, I watched some videos about Puerto Rican car culture, and this is really funny, but Dude in Blue made a great video about it because, you know, his girlfriend's Puerto Rican, so he went down to the island or whatever. And basically, on the island, this is crazy. The cops don't ever stop crazy car shows. They don't even stop it when someone does a burnout.
oh shit,
Yeah,
interesting.
basically, because the way they see it is, as long as, you know, no one's getting hurt or like killed or getting run over or anything, they don't really need to do
Right.
anything. Like, as long as nobody's doing donuts or like doing takeover stuff, you know, a rev there, a burnout there, a loud motor here, it doesn't really matter. Like, they were literally standing on the roadside clapping and cheering as this guy did a burnout.
Yeah. See, like that's another thing too. So like, if you like you just said, all the stuff that they don't stop down there. If I think it's about like what's legal and what's acceptable, because like up
Yeah,
here,
because
no,
obviously,
like that kind of stuff is will get you shut down.
yeah, because
So it's like,
yeah, and the thing is, you know, you can't really, you know, you can't, you know, because it all depends on enforcement too. Like, it all depends on how much your people enforce or scrutinize car shows. Like, especially if you're in a larger city, it's very hard because obviously, you know, I remember a few meets. I remember a meet in New Milford got shut down because of a takeover that happened in like Meriden.
yeah, that was the I know exactly what you're talking
Sweet
about. Wasn't
Dreams.
Yes, yeah, at the Starbucks or Dunkin' over there, or
No, it
whatever
was
it
at the
was.
Panera.
Panera, that's what it was.
Admittedly,
Yeah,
they
yeah,
never actually had proper permission, but you know, it was more of a, you know, it was more of a mutual thing.
yeah. Yeah, kind of like you stay in the parking lot, but everybody supports the business kind of thing.
Kinda. It was more of a, you know, the guy didn't really care. He was like, whatever, as long as they're not doing stupid shit, I'm fine with it.
Okay.
And nobody did any stupid shit before, but unfortunately, I guess he got spooked. That's all I know. I don't know the full story, but I do remember I actually did help that guy secure meat at the brewery in Woodbury. Um,
Oh yeah, yep. I remember.
yeah, the Brew
I know what you're
Cruise.
talking about.
Yeah, a few car meets have been hosted there. It's kind of switched hands between different groups. Like, actually, that's the first place I ever took the Wagon R to a car show at. That was like maybe 2 months after I had gotten the car.
Oh, interesting.
And I
Okay.
remember that was like the
So,
coolest thing ever for me because there was K trucks, there was a Skyline there. Like, I was surprised that this many people would come to the middle of nowhere for this kind of thing. And
right, but that's yeah.
they never hosted a meet there again, sadly. Well, it was a thing called Beers and Gears. They never hosted a meet there again for whatever reason.
Right.
It was the weirdest thing. Uh,
So so shifting gears a little, because I you recently got to experience something that I have been gushing about to my wife for a long time now.
mm-hmm.
Um, Seeing an RWB kit put on
Well,
in
we
person.
can't really talk about that too much because I got a video coming up about it. But I
Okay.
will
So
be.
that's fine. We don't have to get
I
into
mean, I'll
that.
get into it a little bit. Like I said, there's. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to make it on the day he actually, you know, cut the fenders off or anything. Unfortunately, you know, it's just
Mhm.
scheduling and all that with, you know, working out with my dad and stuff.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Because it's like a tradition that me and my dad every year go to the New York Auto Show.
Oh, that's cool.
So basically, but unfortunately, he had a doctor's appointment Wednesday, and so we thought, well, we can only go one day or the other. So I just chose whatever. I'll watch the build get finished, and admittedly, it was insane. Like, there were people crowding around everything. I literally had to contort my body into like a pretzel just to get good footage. Because on top of all the
That
people crowding around him with their phones out, there were, you know, guys inside of the area where he was working on the car. So on top of that, you
okay.
know, I was accidentally getting shots of like a random cameraman's ass crack. I was like, "Come on, you're blocking the shot." And I did talk to a few people. They were all nice. Uh, I did actually get to meet Akira Nakai. I even shook his hand.
That's awesome.
I
That's
won't
really
get
cool.
into too many details about the whole thing because something very special happened.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. You can save it for your video. I
Yeah.
totally get that's totally fine. But that's a really cool experience, and I would absolutely love to see that one day.
I'm sure he's gonna come back to the East Coast again for something because last year he was in Milford for the FCP Euro thing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah. So I
Yeah,
imagine
that's
he'll be back.
right. And I always joke too. I was like, listen, if I don't see him in person for an event, then I have to make my YouTube channel blow up so that I can afford a Porsche and have him put the bodybuilding on my Porsche.
Same, same, same. Honestly, you know what? This is weird. Like I remember thinking about it, man. If I had the money for an RWB, um, you know, this is weird. I'd put because it seems like most RWB builds have like normal 5-spoke wheels. Like for example, this one had Workmeisters.
Okay.
I know this is weird, but I'd put on Advan Oni 2 progressives.
Okay. I can see that.
If you don't know what those are really big 3-spokes.
That would look cool.
Yeah, you know.
I could see
Yeah,
it.
yeah, because that'll piss off the purists even more. Because
Yeah, because
admittedly,
I think those are
Mhm.
cool. Like the
Yeah,
big lower spoke
yeah.
wheels.
Because admittedly, 3-spokes they don't look good on everything. Like one of my friends says, 3-spokes only look good on old Toyotas like the JZX90. I personally disagree. Like for example, if I think 3-spokes look good on they look good on especially the little ones like the Advan A3A. They look really good on like old Celicas, old RX FBRX7s.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
look good on K cars.
Yeah,
Um,
those I could see that.
certain Evos, but I will say cars I don't think look good on 3-spokes. Skylines. I don't think they look good on
I think
Skylines.
it's too much car.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know because I remember in Initial D there literally is a Millennium Jade R34 on 3-spokes. Uh,
Is it really?
yeah, yeah, Godfoot or Godhand. Which one of the two?
Oh, oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. God hand, yeah,
Yeah.
or Godfoot, Godfoot,
Which
yeah.
one? I don't
It's
know.
God hand has the
I think
S2000.
Godhand is the guy in the S2000 and Godfoot is the guy in the
Yeah,
R34.
Yep.
Anyway, man, we still got to talk about how to host your own meet.
Yeah, so like the whole, because like for instance, have hosting it would be like that would be the pinnacle for a lot of people. Being able to
Mm-hmm.
say, "Hey, I have a successful meet," you know, come on down, we hang out. It's something to look forward to. It's
Yeah,
something like
yeah,
that. Um, just like being able to bring together the
yeah.
car community and other car enthusiasts.
Yeah. One thing I'd recommend is also search your local calendars and events to make sure they don't conflict with another event. Because I remember a lot of times Rides and Ramen has not flopped, but we've had lower turnouts just because there were other events that day. And I remember on April 26th, it was supposed to be really good because actually there was a show in New Milford that ended just as Rides and Ramen began. And that is another advantage, is another what that's how you can use other shows to your advantage would be um checking the local show stuff. Like for example, I remember one time one of my biggest turnouts was because there was a show in Brookfield up the road from the restaurant at a barbecue place, and on the
Oh,
way,
oh, yep.
and people leaving that show would stop at my show on their way home. So
That's perfect.
if your meet begins as another one ends and said meet is up the road, that is a very good thing to have.
Yeah, that's perfect because you can catch the overflow. People,
Yeah,
not everybody's ready to just go home after that, especially on a
yeah.
Saturday.
Yeah, yeah. That's another thing. Yeah, Fridays and Saturdays are definitely best because I tried hosting Rides and Ramen on a Sunday just to see if it would work. Unfortunately, not really. I mean, some Sundays work good, but Sunday mornings are definitely better than Sunday evenings.
Right. Yeah,
Only
like
reason
that
why,
whole like cars and coffee
yeah, the
style
only
thing.
reason why I did it was because at the time I was hoping I'd get this job at a place in Middletown that's closed Sundays.
Oh, okay.
So that way, basically, but unfortunately, I didn't get the job. So basically, the idea is, hey, if I get a job at a place that's closed Sundays, I instead of having try and negotiate getting off work early, I could just
Yeah, you'd be good to go. You could just go and
Yeah,
host it on your
yeah.
day off.
Yeah, I don't have to deal with,
Um,
getting off work or, trying to, sway things with my boss.
and I honestly, I just did the same thing for my meet. The original week I had it for was the 24th of May,
Mm.
but then I found out that there was another huge event um going on in somewhere in like northern or central Connecticut, but
Mm.
it's some big event, and I was like, nah, I'm not even gonna try to conflict
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, you gotta, like,
So,
also make sure that, like, there's certain, um, I remember some people have been crazy enough to come as far afield as North Jersey for my meet.
oh my god, that's a hell of a
I don't know, like,
drive.
I don't know, have you ever met Dee Dee? Uh,
Was that the person with the flying pug?
yeah, he's the guy with the flying pug.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah, Dee Dee and his sister have gone to a few of my shows every now and then. Now Dee Dee is cool. Did you see his video on the drive?
No, I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, he was on the drive, and honestly, I've got to talk to Kalon about this, and I did finally find now that I know the social media of one guy at that works for the drive, I might try and see. I don't know if you're listening to this, Kalon. Kalon's Laurel is definitely the drive worthy because it's a weird mix of GDM tuner
Oh,
culture and
absolutely.
like mid 2000s hip hop stuff.
That car is so cool.
Yeah, it's unique, like in a world of cookie cutter stuff because that car has a reputation in Japan of being slammed into a wall at drift events.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because I don't know if you knew this, but the Nissan Laurel is basically Nissan's equivalent to like a JZX.
Oh, okay.
Although admittedly it was nowhere near as sporty as the JZX. It did have the RB and stuff. You,
Right.
you could get it with an RB25 DET Neo, aka the same motor in an R34 GTT, but
Yeah. Yep.
they were all automatic only, so you have to put in like a 5-speed from Skyline or whatever.
But they
Um,
that I mean, that's a pretty good trade off.
yeah, so but yeah, a lot of Laurels. If you look them up in the right places, you can see Laurels drifting. I think we either A, recharge the battery, or B, put a new battery in it and put some fresh gas in the tank. And the truck had sat for 5 years. We put the key in, and it started right up. And so we were like, we just both
Does
looked at each other and said, we can't sell this.
yeah, that thing
Yeah,
doesn't
thing
want to
doesn't
die
want to
yet.
die. So I convinced my dad to spend stupid money getting the frame repaired by this place in Danbury that did great work. Unfortunately, the body is still really messed up. Like, it needs a repaint. The rockers are still really rusty. Um, the hood probably needs something new done to it. Because honestly, I really wish that truck could be mine because it's such a nice truck. It's a bright red flare side bed. It's got like the sport bed.
Oh, nice.
It's just such a beautiful truck. And on top, because the thing is, I love OBS Chevys because they're the perfect mix of like, old school and modern ish.
Right.
It's got that classic styling, but it rides slightly better than like an old square body.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, because like a square body Chevy, it's a cool looking truck, but unfortunately, they ride terribly. They're like
Yeah.
they were meant. That's when trucks were trucks. They were farm tools.
Yeah. My mechanic at my old job actually dailied a '78 Blazer
Wow.
for like 25 years or something like that.
Mm.
And then he comes in one day and he goes, "All right, guys, I got a new." And we're like, "Okay, let's see it." And he pulls up in a '98 S10 that's like lifted 4 inches from
That's
factory or
so
something like
rad.
that.
That's so rad. Like I said, this was like a weird transition point when trucks were starting to become more, comfortable, had more creature comforts.
Right.
So honestly, the seats in that truck are also super comfortable. Like they just don't make seats like that anymore.
Oh no,
Um,
not at all.
uh, and on top of that, obviously for the old school types, in terms of reliability, they're dead nut simple because they got the unkillable, Chevy 350 small block
Right.
that makes no power, gets no fuel economy, but it will run till the end of time. And on top of that, since it's got the TBI, it's fuel injected. You don't need to know how to work on a carburetor.
Yeah. So it's kind of that perfect mix.
Yeah, because the thing is, the only person I know that knows how to somewhat work with carbs is my dad. and even he doesn't really, he isn't really an expert. I mean,
Right.
he told me how one time he literally had to splay out his Charger's carburetor on the kitchen table when he was a kid to get his Charger running again at one point, and my grandma was so mad at him for getting oil and grime all over the kitchen table because he needed a place to rebuild the carburetor.
What better of a place than the kitchen table?
Yeah. um, yeah. I've the only thing I've come close to that was stealing my mom's bottle of WD-40 from under the kitchen sink because I couldn't find the WD-40. Um, yeah.
Yeah, that's perfect because like for me, like when I asked Kalon, he told me it was the General Lee that he saw that got him into it into
Really.
cars. For me, and this is gonna be very like funny considering their reputation now. When I was a kid, I'd say maybe in like third or fourth grade, I saw my first 350Z, and that was my dream car until I found out what any other type of car
You know what? You
was.
know what? I have a more embarrassing dream car from when I was a kid. Purple
What's
DB
that?
Cruiser with flames.
No.
Like other cars that I
That's
loved.
good.
Other cars I loved when I was a kid. Corvette. Because I remember when I was a kid, I was sitting in the back of my mom's Saab. Because my mom used to have cool cars. I was sitting in the back seat of my mom's Saab on the highway, and all of a sudden, this bright yellow C6 Corvette blasts past us at God knows how
Oh,
fast.
nice.
And yellow was my favorite color when I was a little kid, and I thought that was the coolest car on earth.
Oh yeah, a
Other cars,
C6.
other cars I liked when I was a kid. S197 Mustang.
Yeah.
And
Oh yeah.
and this
Those
was
are criminally underrated.
and this was another one. Hudson Hornet, because since I got into the cars because of the movie Cars, I wanted a Hudson
Yeah.
Hornet because of Doc in the movie. And I also remember, what other? I didn't know what, like, because there's this one scene in the movie where there's those like tuner car guys. I don't know if you remember it.
Oh my god, I love that
I
one.
remember I wanted whatever car Wingo was, the green one with a giant wing.
Oh, was that an Eclipse?
Well, no, the thing is, most of the cars in that movie aren't based off real world cars. Like the ones
Right.
that I can think of that are based off real world cars in the movie: Sally, Lizzie, um, Doc, and the sheriff. Oh yeah, and Sarge, the army jeep, and the Volkswagen.
Yeah.
There's a few other ones in the movie that are based off real world cars, but some of them are just kind of a mishmash of different cars. Like for example, Flo, she's based off of a '50s era GM concept car.
Right.
Another example would be Mater. Mater is based. Damn it, who the fuck's texting me? Anyway, and Mater is based off of a international pickup truck.
Yes. Yeah. Those were
And
cool.
international pickup truck and a Chevy 3100.
The I saw someone who like a social media post where someone had actually made Wingo based on an Eclipse, and I think
Wow.
that's where I got the
Yeah, because
information
Wingo
from.
is
I
based
thought
off
it
of
was,
an Eclipse, but I don't think he's like actually called an Eclipse in the movie. Another example would be
yeah.
one of the the purple one, Boost. He's apparently based off of an S15,
Okay.
and the blue one was based off of like a Scion XB.
Yeah, I can see that.
And Snot Rod, I believe, like the orange muscle car one, he was based off of a like '70s Plymouth.
Yeah, I can see that too. That makes sense.
Anyway, yeah, but that's the canon event was probably Cars, the movie Cars, and
Probably Cars.
And like I said, also just because my parents used to have cool cars. Well, my dad still has cool cars, but my mom doesn't anymore. Because when I
Yeah,
was a kid,
that's something too.
because
Yeah.
when I was a kid, my mom isn't even a car person, but when I was a kid, I remember she got it brand new after she traded in the Tahoe, because I thought the Tahoe was the coolest thing on earth, because it had a DVD player in the back, and I wanted to watch my movies.
Nice.
And I was so upset because I missed the DVD player in the back seat. And due to the Great Recession, she had to get something with slightly better mileage, so she traded in the Tahoe for a silver Saab 9.3 wagon.
Ooh, that's cool.
And it's the Aero, which means it has like the turbocharged V6 and a 6-speed.
Oh, that's sick.
Those are exceedingly rare. You know, another Swedish
Yeah.
manual turbo wagon. You can see where the love comes from.
Yeah, you can
And
see where Greenland comes from.
yeah, and at the time, up until very recently, she exclusively drove stick shift.
That's cool.
Because
That's really cool.
she drove that Subaru to not Subaru Saab to like 200,000 miles, but eventually she sold it to a Saab nerd that I believe is still taking care of it to this day.
That's good. At least she's still driving.
Yeah, and she replaced the Saab. I still remember I cried. I missed that car so much because I thought it was the coolest thing on earth. And she replaced it with a Subaru Crosstrek,
Gotcha.
a blue one. And then after her lease was up on that Crosstrek, she got another Crosstrek.
She kind of found her
Yeah,
car
yeah.
for now.
The first two Crosstreks she had were sticks,
Oh,
but
okay.
the other two she's had have been automatic. Sadly, first reason was because one, due to the vehicle shortage, she couldn't find a manual one,
Right.
and two, she broke her left foot,
Oh,
and for a few months she had to borrow my dad's pickup truck. Not Big Red. She had to borrow another truck that my dad has. Um, she had to borrow another truck for like a few months while it healed, and she realized, and even though her foot fully healed, her it just hasn't been the same for her.
right.
So she's like, you know what? Just in case I break my foot again, I don't want to be,
Want to be stranded, basically.
Yeah.
You got to be able to drive your
And I still
car.
remember I was begging her, please, for the love of God, get something besides another Crosstrek. Like, I was trying to convince her to see if she could get a Bronco.
Oh, like the new ones?
Yeah, good thing is she kayaks a lot, so. And I also suggested to
Okay.
her, why not get like a pickup truck or a station wagon, because she has trouble getting the kayak on the roof of the Crosstrek. So like, why not get a lower car? Why not get like a WRX? Put the friggin' kayak on the roof.
Yeah, because you could fit that on a WRX.
Yeah, put the kayak on the roof, or better yet, get like a Ford Maverick. Just put the kayak in the bed.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
she's
you
like,
could do
no,
something.
I don't want a pickup truck. It reminds me of your father. Yeah, because my parents are divorced. Anyway, it's a long story. I don't want to
Gotcha.
get into the drama too much.
That's understandable.
Um,
So another thing too, which I usually talk about too. You I know you have your two cars,
yeah.
and one of them being the Suzuki Wagon R.
Yep.
Now I'm sure other people have heard it before and know it, but do you want to tell me the story on how you acquired that car?
Well,
Because for most people, seeing like a key car as their first
car.
choice for a car.
K car. Well,
So
I will say that if you're really
K car. Sorry, yeah,
if
K
you're really
car.
like a teenager, if you're like 16 years old and you want a K car, I will say it's doable, but it's going to be a arduous path.
Right.
I mean, depending on the vehicle you get, because some vehicles have a ton of support stateside, others have none at all.
Okay.
Like for example, if you get a Honda Acti, you are gonna or a Suzuki Carry, you're gonna have support for days, because
Right.
one, they're so common, not just for non-car people too. They provide a utility to non-car people. Because I remember in high school, I knew this kid. His dad had a farm, and they got a K truck as like a farm truck, and the kid drove that little farm truck to school every day.
That's cool.
I wasn't the only K car in my high school, surprisingly. Yeah. And basically, like I said, it depends on the vehicle, and it depends on, like, it's not just K cars in general. You can get something JDM too. It depends on the vehicle. It depends on everything too.
Right. So how did you go about like acquiring this? How did it fall into your
How
lap,
did
or
it
were
fall
you
into my
searching
lap?
for it?
Well, basically, what happened is originally, this was the original car I wanted a lot. I wanted a Ford Taurus police car.
Oh, okay.
Because the thing is, basically, this is another crazy car story that I think deserves to be on VinWiki. If we ever become big YouTubers, this is going to be like VinWiki worthy. And basically, it involves me nearly getting shot in New Jersey.
Oh God.
Basically, The reason why I like it is because the Ford Taurus Police Cruiser, if I'm honest, like for less than 10,000, it's probably one of the fastest cars you can get for under 10,000.
Right.
Because this was a high school graduation present for my parents. They said you can have any car you want as long as less than this amount of money. And
Okay.
and so, I mean, it was like an early high school graduation present because they were gonna let me drive around in senior year. So
That's cool.
yeah. So basically, um, like originally I was looking at a Ford Taurus police car, and this Ford Taurus was, like I said, it has the twin turbo V6 that the Taurus SHO has, so it goes from 0 to 60 in like 5 seconds.
Yeah, those things are
Like
rockets.
you can literally blow the doors off like most cars and that kind of thing. So I wanted one, and there was this place in New Jersey that sold exclusively state surplus vehicles. That's actually what it's called. It's called State Surplus Vehicles,
Oh, okay.
and they sold mostly decommissioned cop cars. But they had like highway maintenance trucks, that kind of thing too.
Right.
But their main bread and butter was police cruisers. So me and my dad drove 2 hours to Newark, New Jersey, and we were in like the hood. And
Yeah.
originally, I was looking at one that had a 3.7 liter because that was an exclusive engine for the police package. Was the 3.7 liter Cyclone V6 that was in the Mustangs at the time.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And that was the only you could only get it in the police cruiser. And the reason why I wanted it is because it still had the giant bull bar on the front. So I thought that looked cool as shit.
Oh, not. Yeah.
Hell, I remember at one time they even had one that still had the light bar and the siren on it somehow.
Oh my god.
Like that would have been awesome. Even though I probably would have
Get your
gotten
hands on
arrested in
that.
like 5 minutes. And I just remember, anyway, we were there, and the police car was, my dad eventually had to go to a convenience store across the street to use the bathroom or something. So I'm just kind of there all by myself in New Jersey, little 16-year-old kid. Old 17 actually, was I 16 or was I 17 at the time? I don't remember. Anyway, and we were looking, and I was looking around, just looking at the cars, when all of a sudden this homeless looking guy walks by and drops like a plastic bag. Thankfully, it was empty. It wasn't full of like fentanyl or something.
Yeah.
And I pick it up and I said, "Hey, dude, you dropped your bag." And he mumbles something at me in Spanish and ran away.
Oh.
And I just was kind of just standing there, kind of dumbfounded for a few seconds. I was like, "What the fuck?" And all of a sudden, this giant, like 6'5" giant of a man is like right behind me and says, "Hey, what are you doing here?" And I spin around and I'm like, "I'm just looking at purchasing a car with my dad. I'll call him right now. He's using the bathroom." He's like, "All right, call your dad." And I text him. I said, "He's here." And he just said, "All right, just keep your hands where I can see him."
Oh, what the fuck?
Yeah, he was packing heat. I didn't know that at the time. He was packing heat. He was probably ready to shoot me.
Oh my god.
And because basically, apparently, he was having trouble with a bunch of teenagers stealing the catalytic converters off of his cars. So
Oh,
and
yeah.
he was also an ex-police officer. So he was, So
That's not
basically,
something you wanna.
yeah. So basically, he was on red alert, basically. And eventually, my dad comes over. We talk about the car, and eventually, it just kind of fell through after a while because there's another thing. On my way to Yoko Kitchen for Rides and Ramen, well, not Rides and Ramen. This is before Rides and Ramen. My dad, we were driving by this dealership in New Milford called Auto Technic,
Yeah.
and
Yep.
I saw it on the lot, a Mitsubishi Pajero Mini.
Oh,
And
that
a
would
few
have been
K
cool.
trucks, and I was just dumbfounded because I knew what JDM cars and imports were at the time, but I just thought that nobody would go through the trouble to import something other than an unattainable Halo car like a Skyline or an Evo or a Supra.
Right.
Like I thought nobody would go through the trouble of importing anything else from Japan that isn't like a Halo car. And I sit in it and I was like, dude, this is cool as shit. So we look around at any other places selling JDM cars because the Auto Technic, their prices are fucking stupid.
Yeah, they have a lot of
They
ridiculous prices.
wanted 11.5 for that Pajero.
Oh my god.
Yeah. You know what's funny? A guy I know, I think he still owns it. I don't know if it's still on Marketplace or if he sold it, but it blew a head gasket.
Oh my god.
His name was, what was his name? Andrew, maybe. He's a brown Nissan 280Z.
Okay, yeah.
He's friends with Anthony, the guy with the white Dodge Stealth from like upstate New York. Well, not upstate, Hudson Valley.
Right, yep.
But he had that car. I know he had that. I think he was either dailying it or something. But I remember a while back I saw on Marketplace he was listing it because it blew a head gasket. And I'm not gonna lie, I was tempted because he was asking like 1,800 for it, and I was thinking, I was just thinking, and so, but it never happened. So eventually, we were looking at other dealers, and eventually, GDM Imports in Coventry came up.
Okay.
And originally, this was the vehicle I was originally going to get. It was a Daihatsu Move.
Oh, okay.
It's a similar looking K car to the Wagon-R in terms of design, very square and toaster shaped.
Right.
And so eventually we make a decision. All right, we're going to go to this dealer and have a look. But GDM Imports notoriously doesn't update their website. Like, they're slow in terms of updating their website in terms of like when cars sell.
Right,
so
yeah.
we're there and we look around for cars and we're like, ooh. And then I asked them, where's the Move? And they said, oh, we sold that. And I was like, oh, okay. We just drove out for an hour. And so we're like, all right, we'll see what other cars they have. And after doing a bit of walking around, I actually have a video of my first time with the Wagon-R. It's stupid. It's really bad, but it was I still remember I was in paradise because I had never seen this many like Japanese cars in one place before. And I remember.
Oh, yeah.
And I remember I just saw the Wagon-R and it was love at first sight. And I was like, how about this? I just pointed to it and I said, how about this one? And we drove it around, and I remember driving it around the block, and I was like, dude, this car kicks ass. Because just the sensation of speed, the slow car fast feel that those K cars bring.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It was like just so magical. I mean, and just like the noise the turbo was making, all the attention I was getting from people while we were driving.
It was perfect for you.
Yeah. Although, admittedly, there are some vehicles I kind of regret. I regret sometimes I wonder, should I have gotten this car instead? Because there were a few other vehicles on the lot I did consider. One was a GC8 WRX.
Oh, interesting.
It was because the thing is, we never got the first generation WRX stateside, so
Right.
But the thing is, I don't like Subarus because my mom drives one. Although, to be fair, I could have eclipsed that dipshit. This guy, what was his name? Curtis. His name was Curtis. There was a guy I knew in high school named Curtis who had a stink eye WRX hatch. Or was it an STI? I don't remember which. And he was a dick. Okay, he was a little condescending. Admittedly, we had some political disagreements that I won't get into. But, we beefed a bit. We were not really frenemies. I don't really know what the term really would be.
Gotcha.
I guess we were frenemies. But, and one other thing, I was a little jealous because he claimed he was cousins with Adam LZ. And he was actually right. He showed me pictures of a drift event that Adam LZ was at in New Jersey that he went to.
Yeah.
And there he was, plain as day with Adam LZ.
Funny story about that. I didn't realize it until I'm grown up, but one of the kids I used to be friends with in high school or growing up, he used to ride like dirt bikes and stuff. Come to find out that he has pictures of him riding with Adam LZ and used to be friends with Adam LZ as a kid.
That's awesome.
But yeah,
man, I'm just trying to think of like all the YouTuber encounters I've had because I've had quite a few, like with big ones.
I don't think I've ever met.
I've met a few.
Famous YouTuber or celebrity of anything like that.
I've met celebrities that aren't YouTubers. I met Diana Ross once.
When
I was 11 years old. But since this is a car podcast, I'll get into the car YouTubers I've met. I met Matt Farah at Caffeine and Carburetors in New Canaan.
Oh, cool! Yeah.
He brought an RWB Porsche with him. And the only thing I remember him telling me was, we're all guys with GoPros. That's all I remember. Because obviously, everyone was crowding around him because, it was friggin' Matt Farah.
Yeah.
Um, other, I think I may have seen a few people on the smoking tire at a booth at Grid Life at one point.
Okay.
I didn't talk to them, but I saw them. I saw Rob Dom's RX-7 once.
Yes. Yep. I remember that was at Grid Life too.
I met Tommy F. at Grid Life, and he actually had more respect for the Wagon R than the fucking people at Grid Life, which is another crazy story.
Yeah. The whole
Yeah, you're
concourse
not one of the
thing. Yep.
legends, which I just find stupid because the year before they were letting everybody in.
Yeah.
Ugh. Uh, I met way before the fame. You know, he's all about K cars, so you know.
Yep.
Because I remember I actually was rolling in, and I remember he was yelling "K is the way" as I rolled in to caffeine carburetors. Other YouTubers I'm trying to think of that I've met. What other YouTubers have I met besides? Okay, I've met Matt Farah. I've met Tommy. Oh, I didn't meet him, but I saw him. Pizza Mike, you know him?
The name sounds familiar.
He's like this guy that has like 50 different GDM cars, and I don't know how he does it.
Interesting.
But like some of his crazy, he's just a very down to earth guy, very chill in terms of like he's very honest, and he has insane mechanical skill. Because like for example, some of his two most famous cars, the $50 Integra.
Oh God.
And the $50 Integra and the two S13 that he rebuilt after a crash.
Cool.
And mind you, this crash that he had in his S13 was way worse than Alex's crash. Like
Okay.
one whole side of the car was just basically caved in.
Oh God.
Like he had to travel over multiple different places to chop up different pieces of metal off of different S chassis to Frankenstein it back together.
Right. Yeah. To truly get it back to normal.
Yeah. And actually, what's really funny was after his crash, he decided to drift it while it was smashed up because you know it was still drivable.
Oh, I know. Yeah. I saw that video.
Yep.
I know exactly what you're talking
That's
about.
him.
Yeah.
But basically, one of his recent purchases was a R34 sedan. And
Okay.
I didn't know this, but at the time, him and another friend of his was driving all the way from Illinois to Connecticut to get work done on the R34 or something like that. It was like a block party thing. I don't remember exactly, but I remember I literally was just pulling out of the liquor store after I got some soju, and all of a sudden I see two cars. I see a R34 sedan and a black SEMA, and I like, oh my god, because I was in the Wagon R at the time. So I try following them, and they were going up state route. They were going up Route 63 in Woodbury towards like Washington or towards New Milford.
Yeah. Yep.
And I was trying to chase them in the Wagon R, but they were just driving so fast that I couldn't keep up. And I was like, and the thing is, at the time, I had some, since I was running errands, I had my lunch with me. So I was like, damn, I gotta go home and eat my lunch before it gets cold.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, those are all my YouTuber encounters.
I met Gears and Gasoline.
Okay. Maybe it was Gears and Gasoline at Grid Life. Maybe it was them. I don't remember.
Yeah, because I met them at Grid Life, and I was all excited. I had my sliding and driving shirt on with my MR2, and I wanted to I wanted to show it to Ben Lynn so bad.
Aww.
But he had literally stayed up. What Ben Thorne told me was he had stayed up until like 5 a.m.
Wow.
Doing it like an emergency edit to their video that they had to get out. So he was asleep in the trailer.
Ooh.
But there was another drifter there. I don't remember his name. I feel bad.
I don't think I actually watched them. I don't think I've really watched much Gears and Gasoline.
I started. I'll be honest with you. I watched their road trip videos, and then I started really following it when they did the MR2.
The YouTube thing. I'm just trying to think. YouTube that got me back into cars when I was like 14 or 15. Donut, old school Donut.
Donut, yeah.
Like before they fell. I mean, Donut hasn't really fallen off. Like their content's just okay now. I mean, it's all right.
Right.
Like, and honestly, Big Time. I don't know. I hate to say this, but Big Time just feels like Donut with extra steps.
Yeah, I'll be honest. When everyone kind of split off, I subscribed to both Big Time and Speed,
Yeah, Speed is
but
way better than
I
Big
haven't.
Time.
I'll be honest, I haven't really watched much of it. None of their content has like
I get
really
it.
grabbed me the
Like I
same.
get it. Like obviously, like Speed's non-car content, I wasn't really interested in, but some of their stuff, some of it's really good. And what I'm happy for is James can make basically whatever video he wants. You
Yes,
know, he's
that's the
not
important
constrained to
thing.
one thing. You know, he can talk about clothing, he can talk about self improvement, he can talk about cars, he can talk about whatever.
Right. And
But
that's something
yeah,
that's important to be able to do when you're
yeah,
making content.
yeah. But Big Time is just kind of eh.
Yeah, I watched a few of their things, like when they were going through the motor in his.
Yeah, for the S14, that was fun. That was
Yeah,
fun
the
to
S
watch, and
14.
you could clearly tell that they were trying to make a less corporate feeling donut.
Yeah,
But over time, I mean, it hasn't. It's not corporate or anything. I mean, they're still operating out of like a little house in California with a bunch of shit in the backyard. But
yeah,
like where they custom built a crazy goblin dune buggy for World of Warcraft. I'm like, eh.
yeah. Like that's cool that they were able to like. I'm
To do
assuming they
that.
worked with, yeah, like with World of Warcraft for that stuff and Blizzard. But I mean, that's not something really up my alley. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, a lot of like the build content is a little not clickbaity, but it just feels kind of eh. Like a good example would be they announced they got another project car, and it was like an E46, I think. And I'm
Oh,
like,
another BMW.
another E46. Cause that's another thing. I'm like you already have a drift car. You have the S14. Why do you need another? I don't know.
Yeah,
Like all three of their main projects are FR, except for that and mostly set up to do about the same kind of motorsport. The only unique thing they have is the semi truck.
right.
Um,
Yeah,
and what I'm surprised about is they don't need a CDL to use it because you know me, I have a
that's
CDL.
cool. Yeah.
But I
Um.
think the reason why is they probably just played it because I think you can legally drive like a semi truck or whatever if it's your own personal vehicle. But if you're using it to like haul stuff that like you know for work, then you need a CDL.
Gotcha. So you can use it for like personal use and stuff as
Yeah,
long as you're
or
not
like
hauling.
I think another exception would be like if you work on a farm, you're exempt.
Oh yeah.
Like you can drive the truck within like X amount of like I think it's like within a certain radius of the farm. Like you can drive it without a CDL.
That's cool too, because that's real helpful for moving a bunch of shit on the
Mm-hmm.
farm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that there's another car content person that I'm holding on for. I really hope that he kind of starts changing this content again.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you ever heard of the guy named Gingium.
Gingy, yeah, I've watched a little bit of his stuff, but I never really watched a lot.
Yeah, I watched him from when he was like really small, and like I
Uh,
liked most of his builds. But the stuff he's doing now is like it's I don't know, it just doesn't hit the same if that makes sense. Like he's doing
mm,
um a lot of like Honda Civic and Honda Accord builds, and I'm like
huh.
it's he used to do all kinds of crazy stuff, and
Yeah,
now it's he seems
like the
very like
Volvo
tame.
wagon with the LS is like awesome.
Yeah, or I don't know if you ever saw he made an all wheel drive rally Miata.
Mm. I don't think I saw that.
Oh my god, he was the first person to do this, and he took a Miata, he cut the front half of it off, like the engine bay.
Mm-hmm.
He attached the front of a WRX and put an EJ20 turbo in it with a WRX's drivetrain back to a custom drive shaft that went to a Ford, like the Ranger rear end, but on a
Huh.
Miata.
Huh.
So the whole thing was all wheel drive. It was turboed. It was really cool. And then he just kind of like let it sit and didn't do anything with it. Or like
That's
he has a
that's a
drift
shame.
truck too.
Oh.
And it's a Mazda B series truck,
Ah, B series.
but
Basically a
he's got
Ranger.
a exactly, but he's got a supercharged 1UZ Lexus motor in it.
Wow. You know, I myself was looking at a drift truck a while ago on Marketplace. I'm tempted
Yeah,
so much. It's a 1997 Nissan Hardbody with a turbo kit. Like all the shit that's been done to it. I'm gonna just ask him what's the butt dyno telling you, because he says it's got a it's got a CX Racing turbo kit, which is probably like you repurposed the kit for an S13.
right.
Mm. And he says Megasquirt ECU, 550cc injectors, ARP hardware, 240SX harness, new clutch, lightweight flywheel, new timing chain, custom 2.5-inch exhaust. And he says it's running on 12 pounds of boost.
Oh my god.
And I looked up the kit on CX Racing's website, and normally they run at like 7 pounds.
Yeah, so that how long is that thing gonna last on 12 pounds?
Well, from what I've been told, the single cam KAs can take more boost than the double cam ones, which are the ones that are in the S13s and S14s.
Right.
So they're a little more robust.
Yeah, so that makes sense. It's kind of like the people that build the Honda D series motors and turbo those.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Just due to the less moving parts of a single cam motor.
Right.
My God, like you don't think that like 30 years from now, D series and B series people are gonna be like some of the old heads that I've talked to that swear by like the 350 small block and like the flathead
Yeah.
V8. Yeah, yeah. The Honda
They
D
are.
series, Honda D series guys are like the flathead Ford guys.
They're gonna be like, back in my day,
Mm-hmm.
the D series was the most secure way you could go if you wanted a reliable power or some shit like
I
that.
mean, still though, D series motors. I mean, there's still potential. Like the way I see it, a B series is the Chevy small block to what the K20 is to an LS.
Yeah,
Like
absolutely.
like obviously, let's just say I had like an EG Civic shell or whatever that I purchased for stupid crack pipe money. Um, and I have two options: a B18 or a K20. We're not gonna really go into specifics about what motors they were out of. Like, I guess I could say B18C, aka like the Integra Type R motor,
Yeah.
and I guess for a K20, I'd just say whatever motor is in the. Jeez. I'll just say whatever motor's in the friggin' like. I don't know. We'll just say it's the good one. Whatever good K20 is out there, because we're not going all the way up to K24.
Right.
And let's just say I was given like the amount of money I'd have to. Let's just say I had a power goal of 400 horsepower. The amount of money I'd have to dump into a B series to make 400 horsepower is going to be significantly more than a K20, I'd imagine. I wouldn't know, though. I'm probably just talking out of my butt here. But from what I understand, you're going to be spending way more money for a B series build than you would for a K series.
Yeah, I believe it's the same thing because there used to be a channel I saw. They don't do it anymore, but they used to take CRVs, like the second and third generation, and they would build turbo kits for them.
Oh,
Um,
yeah, because
and it
obviously
was like
B20s
easy
were
400 horsepower.
yeah, because B20s were a very popular motor to swap into cars or like a lot of stuff. Like, because obviously if you couldn't afford like a really good crazy race car, if you couldn't afford to get like a B16B or B18C, you just go for
Yeah.
like a junkyard B20. And I mean that's still a good way of getting cheap-ish B series power these days.
Right. Right.
You just
Yeah, you could still grab them and throw them in something.
yeah.
But now there's the companies that are making the swap kits for the new Honda motors that are out. I
Yeah,
don't
so
remember what they're
everyone-
called, but they replaced
Yep.
the K24.
Yeah, everyone's K swapping them because you know what's funny? That's the reason why I'm comparing a lot of like B series and D series diehards to like boomers. Because a lot of boomers, like you are purists, are like get mad whenever you like LS swap like a classic car.
Right.
I don't know if there's a very vocal minority of certain Honda people that get mad when you drop in a K20 into say like an EG or an EF or something an older chassis like that.
Yeah. I could see. Yeah, people do get upset about that. I think it'd be funny to take like one of the old like rat rod style cars, like a Model A or a Model T or
Yeah.
something, and instead of having a V8 in it, put like a J35 or a K24 right in the front there and really piss everybody off at a car
Similar stuff
show.
to that's been done. Similar stuff to that's been done. Like for example, I know there's a build out there that's a 2JZ swapped Chevelle.
Yes, I've seen
There's
that one.
also a 2JZ
like,
swapped 53 Chevy something or other. And on Bring Up Trailer, some guy was also selling a 2JZ powered Model A rat rod.
oh my god.
It was a 2JZ GE though. It wasn't crazy. It was just, like a regular 2JZ GE.
Right.
But the thing is, I don't think people realize this, but that is hot rodding in its truest spirit. You just take what parts you have and you make them work.
Yeah,
It doesn't matter if it's
absolutely.
like American or Japanese or whatever, you know.
You throw it in there and you get it running, and then
Yeah,
that's your rat rod,
yeah. So
not rod.
it's not really, that's what's it in its truest spirit. It doesn't have to follow a strict set of rules that, oh, it can only have this motor or be this color.
Yeah. I actually was thinking about doing something too. I'm not sure if I'm going to do it yet, but for my Lexus, they actually make a carburetor kit so that you
Why?
switch it from fuel injection.
Why?
So personally, I think if you're looking for power, do the keep it fuel injected. But there's just something about the way it sounds. I would love to roll up to
Oh.
a car meet and confuse everybody.
I
But
mean, yeah, but
I would
I,
rather just supercharge the motor I have in
of
there now.
course, now that I'm thinking about it, I did see someone who did that where they converted a. Because the thing is, I was getting really excited. I saw a Volvo 240 with a Ford 302 and a T5 in it.
Oh wow.
So I was like, ooh, sleeper Volvo wagon. But he said for
Yeah,
whatever reason
seriously.
he converted the EFI converted from EFI to carburetor, and I'm like, why though? Because like I said, I don't know how to work on carburetors. So
I don't either. It would be a total learning curve for
from what I've been
me.
told from the other people that I know that can work on carbs, they've told me it's a mix of both, like super advanced, confusing crap and caveman technology.
Yeah. That's what the guys at my work say who do like carburetors on their like lawnmowers and like tractors and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
although admittedly nowadays, instead of working on like carburetors for like small engines like that are so cheap, you don't even need to rebuild one.
You
Like,
just replace it.
yeah, you can just get like a cheap Chinese carburetor for like $20.
Yeah, honestly, it's like it's almost quicker that way. But I get it. There's something about taking it apart,
Yeah, I
getting
get it.
down to the
Yeah,
nitty gritty of the mechanical.
yeah,
So, all right, we've been going for about an
yeah,
hour and a half now.
yeah,
I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this up. So, if
yeah.
you want to go ahead and let everybody know where they can find you on your
Oh
socials
yeah,
and
sure,
stuff like
sure.
that.
Yeah, I've been Dita. My YouTube channel is also called Dita. But honestly, when you look it up, my channel doesn't usually come up. So I just recommend just looking up Rides and Ramen on YouTube. Um, and you'll probably find my channel there. I make things where I review car shows because no one because I'm bad at like doing stuff on camera for reviewing cars. So I review car shows instead. Um, I just also make whatever I feel like. Cars, video games. I don't really give a crap. I have two Instagrams. I have Dita underscore 03 DETAH, and the Rides and Ramen account is also linked to it if you want more updates on the Rides and Ramen thing. Our next show is June 21st at still at 254 Danbury Road, New Milford, Connecticut. I still provided like some good information on like hosting your first meet, right? I feel like I didn't say enough.
Oh no, it was perfect, honestly,
Honestly,
because you
that's a good.
and
I think I have a new video idea now. How to host your first car meet.
yeah, that's a good idea. So, if I highly recommend everybody if you are in the area to check out Rides and
Yeah,
Ramen, it is a great time as always, and there's really good people there. You can always I've already made so many friends and
yeah.
like met awesome people from that meet. So with that, yeah, go ahead and
Yeah,
check out
including you.
Casey, all his channels and everything. I'll go ahead and link all mine, the usual,
Yeah.
all that fun stuff. So all right, we'll see you
All
guys next
right.
time. Peace.